Hi, I'm Meg Davis, and I'm going to read you my personal narrative, New York City. My brother Mark likes to play the trumpet a lot. He practices at school even when he has a break and late into the night. He is so good last year that he was invited to play at Carnegie Hall. I was super excited when I found out that Mark, Mom, and Dad were going to New York. Then I found out that anybody in our family could come as long as they paid for it. I checked my savings and decided to go right away. Luke and JC didn't want to come. Finally, we packed. We were going to drive to Whitehorse, fly to Vancouver, and fly to Toronto, and then fly to New York. We had to take JC to Whitehorse for an orthodontist appointment, and our friends were going to drive him back. When we got to New York, it was night out and super dark. There were people with masks. We had heard of the coronavirus. It was like a bad cold and you could die from it. We were concerned, but we had a mission, so we decided to go about our trip. We went out and got a cab, or we thought it was a cab. It was black and super expensive. We arrived at the hotel. It was super fancy. There was a long line to check in, and when we got to our room, Dad said that it was too fancy and expensive, but Mom, Mark, and I liked it. So there was an extra room, and Dad got to sleep in it. Mom and I shared one bed, and Mark got the other. On Wednesday, we took a taxi to a boat that took us to Liberty Island. Then we climbed the Statue of Liberty. Mark didn't have a ticket to the Crown, but he climbed to the pedestal. There is a balcony at the pedestal. It had a great view. There are 5 islands in New York City, and they all have huge skyscrapers. Inside the statue, there is a narrow staircase with small places off to the side where you could rest. When we got to the top, I looked out the windows of the Crown. We took a lot of pictures. Then we came down, but Mark and Dad weren't with us. We heard yells. We looked up. Dad and Mark were waving at us. Then they disappeared. We waited for a long time. Finally, they came down looking really happy. Mark had gone to the Crown. I don't know how they did it. Next, we went to the museum near the statues. It had life-size statues of the Statue of Liberty cut into pieces. Then we went to a restaurant called The Crown. It had delicious hamburgers. Then, after we ate, we took a boat to Ellis Island. We didn't have much time. We went to the museum. It had artifacts of items people used in the old days. It even had a tree of languages and buttons you could press, and a voice told you about the exhibit. Then we took a boat to Manhattan, where we were staying. Mark had moved hotels to be with his musical group. We walked to where Mark was staying and met his group leader. Then we explored. New York City doesn't have stores like Walmart. It has little shops along the street like a huge fair. We ate dinner at McDonald's. When we came out, it was dark. We were in Times Square. Times Square is an area that has big screens on the sides of buildings, like a lot of movie theaters without walls. We went to the Disney store, but didn't buy anything. We saw a nightgown with Elsa on it, but Mom said we couldn't buy it until we'd seen Frozen 2, which we were doing on Saturday. On Thursday, Mom started to worry. We were also going to the musical Aladdin. Mom was reading the reviews and getting anxious. The instructions said to look for someone in a yellow jacket when you got to the theater, but people said it was a scam and some didn't get their money back. We went to the Museum of Natural History. It had everything from live butterflies to huge dinosaur skeletons. We even got to watch a butterfly hatch from a cocoon. We stayed at the museum for 3 hours. Friday, Mom and I went to the Korean restaurant. Then we remembered we had to go to the theater to watch Frozen 2. We ran about 40 blocks, passing the movie theater several times before we saw it. Dad was already there. We got the popcorn Mom had ordered and got our seats and watched the movie. Saturday morning, we went to the Central Park Zoo. We watched seals do tricks, including kissing the trainer. We went to a place with penguins. In the afternoon, we had the opportunity to go to Aladdin. We got dressed up and went to a fancy restaurant and started walking. New York City isn't cold. We only saw one patch of snow the whole time. The place we were going was in Times Square, so before we went there, we got to see a man do a front flip over 4 people at once. We found the person we were looking for, gave him our tickets, and got into a slow-moving line. When we got in, we saw Mark. His group got to watch Aladdin, but he had to sit with them. Mom, Dad, and I got to sit in the second row, and we could even see the sweat on the actors' faces. We went to the Brooklyn Tabernacle on Sunday. This church draws about 10,000 people every Sunday. It was interesting to be around so many people. We sat next to some people from France. After that, we went to the Grand Central Station and we had lunch. Finally, it was time to watch Mark at Carnegie Hall. We got dressed and went out into the cold, crisp air. It took us some time to find the front door. We went in. It was super fancy with gold rails and carpets on the stairs. And that was just the hall. Stepping into the auditorium was like stepping into a palace. It had golden balconies and red velvet seats. I forget if we were supposed to take pictures or not. Probably not, but Dad took some anyway. After the concert, we met Mark at his hotel. They were going on a night cruise, so we congratulated him and went back to our hotel to sleep. The next morning, Monday, we picked up Mark from his hotel and went to the airport. From there, we flew back to Toronto, then Vancouver, then finally Whitehorse, then home. Going to New York City was fun, and I can't wait to do it again.